Let me ask you something that might feel uncomfortable at first. Have you ever found yourself lying awake at night, replaying a conversation in your head, agonizing over what someone might have thought about something you said or did? That gnawing anxiety that keeps your mind spinning like a hamster wheel, draining your energy and stealing your peace. This isn't just casual worry. It's a profound psychological trap that has ensnared countless people throughout history, preventing them from living truly authentic and fulfilling lives. The great Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius, who ruled the Roman Empire at its peak, understood this human tendency all too well. In his personal journal, Meditations, which he never intended for publication, he wrote with striking clarity, "Don't waste the rest of your time here worrying about other people, unless it affects the common good." Consider the weight of this statement, coming from one of the most powerful men in history, a man who could have easily obsessed over his public image, yet chose instead to focus on what truly mattered. When we examine this idea more deeply, we uncover a fundamental truth about human psychology. The mental energy we expend worrying about others' opinions is energy stolen from our own potential. Every moment spent imagining what others might think is a moment not spent creating, not spent loving, not spent building the life we truly want. The modern world, with its constant social comparisons and digital personas, has only amplified this ancient human struggle to unbearable levels. To truly grasp why this matters, let's step into a metaphorical space where this internal conflict plays out in vivid detail. A small, nearly hidden bar in Tokyo's Shinjuku district that only opens at midnight, serving not just drinks, but hard-won wisdom to those brave enough to seek it. Here, we'll witness a transformative conversation between a seeker named Himari and a bartender who serves truth as skillfully as he mixes cocktails. The dialogue, a psychological unpacking. The bartender begins with what seems like a simple statement. If you're attached to what other people think of you, you'll never do anything truly useful. But let's dissect this carefully. Attachment here doesn't mean healthy consideration of others' feelings. It describes an unhealthy psychological dependence where your sense of self-worth becomes contingent on external validation. This creates what psychologists call an external locus of evaluation, where you constantly look outside yourself to determine your worth, rather than developing an internal compass. Himari's response, "What do you mean? Isn't it natural to care?" reveals a common cognitive distortion. Yes, humans are social creatures wired for connection, but there's a crucial distinction between healthy social awareness and pathological approval seeking. The former helps us navigate relationships. The latter makes us prisoners to others' whims. The bartender's next insight cuts deep. Caring isn't the problem, dependency is. This speaks to the psychological concept of differentiation of self, the ability to maintain your identity and values while remaining connected to others. When we're undifferentiated, we fuse with others' expectations, losing our authentic voice in the process. The question he poses, have you ever held back an idea because you feared how it'd be received, isn't rhetorical. Neuroscience shows that social rejection activates the same brain pathways as physical pain, which explains why we instinctively avoid rocking the boat, even at the cost of our true selves. The psychological turning point. When Himari admits she constantly censors herself, we see the tragic cost of this mindset, a phenomenon psychologists call self-alienation, where we become strangers to ourselves by constantly performing for others. The bartender's observation about how little others actually think about us reflects What's known in social psychology as the spotlight effect, our tendency to overestimate how much attention others pay to our actions. The conversation then touches on a fundamental human need. But isn't being liked important? This reveals our evolutionary wiring for tribal belonging. In prehistoric times, social rejection could mean death. But in our modern context, this ancient fear often becomes maladaptive, keeping us in psychological cages of our own making. The bartender's distinction between connection and captivity mirrors psychologist Erich Fromm's concept of freedom to versus freedom from. Are we free to be ourselves, or just free from the discomfort of asserting ourselves? The existential choice. The pivotal question, what if I lose people by being myself, confronts us with an existential dilemma. Psychological research on authenticity shows that while being real may risk some relationships, it attracts deeper, more meaningful connections. The tree metaphor illustrates the concept of self-actualization in humanistic psychology, the idea that we naturally grow toward our potential when conditions allow. When Himari voices her need for security, we encounter the fundamental human tension between safety and growth. Psychologist Abraham Maslow would argue that until we move beyond basic security needs, we can't fully self-actualize. The bartender's prison analogy reflects what modern therapists call the comfort zone, a space that feels safe but ultimately stifles development. Invitation to transformational journey. This conversation matters because it mirrors a psychological journey we all must undertake. The questions posed aren't hypothetical. They're diagnostic tools for your life. When did you last avoid meaningful action due to fear of judgment? This reveals your unique approval triggers. What small act of authenticity could you practice this week? Behavioral psychology shows small steps create lasting change. If opinions didn't matter, what would you change? This uncovers your suppressed desires. By engaging with these questions, you're not just listening, you're initiating what psychologists call cognitive restructuring, rewiring deep-seated thought patterns. Why this matters for you. The channel offers more than philosophical discussion. It provides psychological tools for real transformation. Each episode breaks down wisdom traditions through the lens of modern psychology, neuroscience, and practical application. When you subscribe, you're not just getting content, you're joining a community of people committed to doing the hard work of authentic living. Final reflection. Marcus Aurelius's private writings remind us that even an emperor struggled with these very human fears. His solution wasn't to conquer the world, but to conquer his own mind. In our hyper-connected age, this work isn't just philosophical, it's survival. Your authentic self isn't just waiting to be uncovered, it's waiting to be unleashed. The question isn't whether you'll start this journey, but when. The bar is open. Will you take a seat?